Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day 349, Wednesday, February the 21st, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all of you. I had someone that alerted me to the fact that we have over 900 subscribers now, so that's awesome. I never would have thought that would happen. For those of you who don't know, when I first started doing these videos, it all started because on a Saturday morning I got up and I saw where Trump had tweeted that he just learned that he'd been wiretapped, and so I thought, hey, I thought about it for a couple days, and I thought this could be bigger than Watergate. I mean, he would come out and say this. He's got to have some evidence for that, and if that's true, I mean, this is a really big story. So, I thought, well, I think I'll just start, doing like a daily diary. And at first I thought, well, I'll just like a spiral notebook and write it out. And I thought, no, I think I'll just do a video, just do a video every day of kind of what's, happening. And that's how it all got started. I never gave it a whole lot of thought or anything. So this is kind of like a daily diary that I do, and you're all welcome to just come in and, check out my daily diary of the events as they unfold and transpire. And that's what this is all about. I've also had people suggest that maybe, this is like, I have like this personality, or this is like a show, and I have this character that I play, and I just want to let you guys know this is not a character. This is me. I mean, this is who I am. That's how I am. I'm this way, at work with my friends, at work and play. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm just being myself, really. There's no shtick here. There's no show going on or anything like that. I'm just being myself and reading these daily news events as they play out, and that's really all there is to it. Nothing else more than that. But it's kind of funny. People think it's like a character I play. No, it's actually me. So anyway, that's kind of how that is. Sorry to disappoint you. But another thing, of course, it is Wednesday, which is the day that I take out the trash, and I have chicken. Every Wednesday I take out the trash and I have chicken. So I've had some people ask me about, well, do I have the same type of chicken every Wednesday? No, I have a lot of different types of chicken. Of course, I have baked chicken, barbecued chicken, broiled chicken, baked chicken, fried chicken. I like stuffed chicken, the broccoli and cheese stuffed chicken, like chicken cordon bleu. I have a Chinese restaurant about a mile away, and I like to get General Tso's chicken and cashew chicken. And of course, in the summertime, I do a lot of grilling, and so I do like the Hawaiian chicken. I kind of have a marinate. I marinate overnight, and I put it on the grill the next day. Throw the pineapples on there. I do that. And the whole thing with the chicken started because I had a lot of red meat in my diet, and my cholesterol had gotten high, and the doctor prescribed me cholesterol, something avorstatin or something for cholesterol. And I don't like to take pharmaceutical medications and stuff, so I don't like to take any type of drugs or anything like that. Not like drugs. I don't mind plants. Plants aren't drugs. But what I don't like is pharmaceutical manufactured drugs. And I don't like to take them. If I get like a real bad flu, I will take antibiotics. But I've only done that like a few times in my life. Even this last cold that I had, and I still have a little bit that I'm getting rid of, I just, some NyQuil at night. And other than that, I really just kind of eat some cough drops during the day or whatever. That's about it. But anyway, it was a method of trying to change my diet and trying to get more other types of things than red meat, trying to lower my cholesterol and stuff. So anyway, I started eating chicken and started just kind of getting my diet together, eating a little bit more fish, more chicken, less red meat, and that's how I kind of got into the chicken thing. So that's what's going on with the chicken. But yeah, another thing I like, which I had tonight, was the chicken pot pies. And the Stouffer's chicken pot pies, I get like 4 of them, and I bake them in the oven, and then I just pile them all into a plate about this high and just scarf it all down, and that's really good too. So the chicken pot pie. But yeah, I have a lot of different types of chicken dishes, but it's not the same type of chicken every week or anything like that. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with that. Now back to some serious TowerGate news. In the last couple of days, I've had a few people comment about this stuff that Sean Hannity, Limbaugh, and a bunch of other conservative types have been commenting on the story that was actually written on a website. I think it's called Law Review or something Law Review. I don't know. It's not a site I visit. But I heard Sean Hannity drop the name of the website, and it's like something Law Review. And there was an attorney on there that looked at the precedent that Mueller has set when he launched this indictment on these 13 Russians. And he says the cause and the crime that they committed, and he lays out the things that they did which brought them, under indictment with Mueller's investigation, his witch hunt. And he lays out those things, what they were, and then he says, well, wait a minute, we could apply all those things to Christopher Steele as well. So as he lays out in this article, these 13 Russians were primarily charged or indicted because they were foreign persons who were involved or meddling in the U.S. 2016 election. They were foreigners meddling in the U.S. election. They were paid. They were not registered as foreign agents, and they did not report their earnings and their expenditures to the Federal Election Commission, which they were obligated to do. So these are the reasons that they fell into Mueller's trap. Now, as this attorney points out, if you apply that to Christopher Steele, you could say the exact same thing. Christopher Steele was a foreign person who meddled in the 2016 U.S. elections. He was paid. He did not register as a foreign agent. He did not report earnings or expenditures to the Federal Election Commission. Now, in addition to the main players who run this main company that Mueller indicted, he also indicted people around them, like the people who organized the protest, the people who were involved in the movement of money. Anyone who was involved with these individuals, these 13 individuals, of which I think was a handful that were actually involved, and the rest of them were like people who were players. They were, people also involved kind of indirectly. So if you look at that, then you could take it to the next step with Christopher Steele as well. You can say, well, Fusion GPS would be involved as well. They helped put Christopher Steele in the position he was in to be able to do what he was doing. And it was Perkins Coie and Mark Elias who hired Fusion GPS, who then hired Christopher Steele. And then, of course, the end money came from the Rotten Reverend Clinton, Crooked Hillary, and the Hillary Clinton for America campaign and the DNC. So, if you look at Mueller's indictments and how he went about getting the criteria to indict these people and the people around them, if you apply that exact same standard to Christopher Steele and those others, Fusion GPS, Perkins Coie, the Hillary for America campaign, the DNC, you can see he makes a very good argument why Christopher Steele and all these other players should be indicted as well, using the exact same criteria that Mueller used for the Russians. And now that he set the precedent, there should be people asking him that question. And I'm sure that people will be asking him that question, other than media pundits. I mean, like members of Congress, at some point when they question Mueller, or Sessions, or Rosenstein, any of them that are involved in this investigation. So, yeah, very interesting, and I would expect to see some pressure applied in that area, because it's a very good argument. Very good argument. Jeff Sessions, that recent interview he did on Maria Bartiromo, a lot of people picked up on something, and I picked up on it too, which is that you got the impression that Jeff Sessions is himself frustrated. Almost like he knows a lot of things or has a lot of things going, but he can't talk about them. Now, a lot of people know I've been pretty hard on Jeff Sessions. I didn't think he should have recused himself. I'm sitting back here watching all these crimes, and I'm thinking, when's he actually going to act? Very frustrating. But it's never been personal with Sessions. He's probably a nice man. I don't know him. But he's Trump's pick, and, that's, Trump's guy. So, I accept it. I'm not ready to, get a major hate on for Sessions, but I'm disappointed, I guess would be the word I would use. Now, I have people on this channel who really like Sessions and support him, and I have people on this channel who want him, completely, hanged for treason or something. So I understand both sides. I really do. And I'm somewhere in the middle. But in the last couple weeks, a lot of people have been suggesting that maybe Sessions is playing possum. Maybe, as some people have suggested, he's waiting till he sees the whites of their eyes. These things are all possible. But we've gotten some information in the past 2 weeks, really two things. There was a story that popped up in Conservative Treehouse about 2 weeks ago about the fact that Sessions had appointed various prosecutors and DOJ lawyers to begin working with the Inspector General. And along with that, and Rosenstein's statement when he was interviewed and said, well, Sessions directed me to appoint, and he wouldn't say the number, but we believe it's somewhere around 24 DOJ attorneys who are acting essentially as prosecutors and other investigators to begin working with the Inspector General. And there's some legal minds out there that have been looking into this and saying, you know what, it looks like that this is what you do in the run-up to indictments, because you're going to be seating a grand jury. And this would be done, it looks like at this point, from within the DOJ, which everybody's been saying, well, we need a special prosecutor. We can't have the DOJ going after the DOJ, investigating the DOJ. And I think a lot of people believe that Sessions, that this bothers him, that he doesn't really like the special counsel thing, and he believes that the DOJ can do an investigation, I guess, of itself or former DOJ officials or what have you. And he wants to kind of prove that, and that maybe he's directed Rosenstein to appoint these people to begin working with the Inspector General to find out how many grand juries he's going to need, how many prosecutors he's going to need for the people who are going to come under indictment, and that we all just need to have patience, because Sessions is actually behind the scenes. He's not coming out publicly and saying anything because he doesn't feel he can. But actually behind the scenes all this stuff is happening, and that there's only one reason that he would have appointed a couple dozen prosecutors and DOJ lawyers and investigators to begin working with the Inspector General, and that's because he's been told by the Inspector General, being kept abreast of the investigation, that there's going to need to be some grand juries seated and some special prosecutors or prosecutors within the DOJ, because there are going to be indictments for the crimes that he is going to be revealing in his report. And that's what a lot of people are starting to suggest. Now, we know that last summer in 2017, I did a video on it. We know for a fact that Jeff Sessions was briefed by Christopher Wray and a couple other people who had real concerns about possible civil uprising if they charge Hillary Clinton or other people, Obama, high-level Obama officials. They're worried about it being politicized, and we understand that Sessions is worrying about it being politicized. Or people say, well, if Sessions appoints, or charges these people or indicts these people, then they're going to say, well, this is just Trump's attorney general going after his political opponents. Oh, this is just Republicans versus Democrats. And they'll all be turned into a big political football, and we will not be able to really even have a fair airing of the facts of the crimes that have been committed, because it will just turn into a giant political food fight. And that's what Sessions wants to avoid. And so what he needs is for someone who's independent to bring these things to light, and then he can avoid all those other political things that could be thrown into play, because people will look at the Inspector General as being an independent person. He was there during Obama, he was there during Bush, he's there during Trump, so he's there with Republicans or Democrats. He's the man who represents the agencies, the DOJ and the FBI. He's not a political guy, he's just the independent counsel or the Inspector General, and he just gives his report. He doesn't do indictments. He just says, here's what I found, and then it's up to you to do what you're going to do to the Attorney General. So this is what a lot of people are now saying, that they believe that Sessions may be playing a little possum, and that that we need to be patient and allow the Inspector General, because that's going to give Sessions the cover he needs. He needs someone other than him to come out and say, here is what was done. Then he, the Attorney General, can say, okay, these were crimes. And then he wants to do it within the Department of Justice. He doesn't want a special counsel. He wants it. He wants the DOJ and the FBI. He wants to be able to let them sort of rehabilitate themselves or clear themselves or regain their credibility by actually doing a proper investigation and holding people accountable. So this is what a lot of people think is going on with Sessions. And that interview that he did with Bartiromo, a lot of people got the feeling, I certainly did, that there's something definitely going on. Sessions is definitely frustrated and angry, but he can't talk about a lot of things right now. And so that's what a lot of people think. So I'm still on that train of thought that, we'll wait for the IG report to come out, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see how he responds to that. But, I think Sessions is on a short leash, and there are going to have to be indictments here. If they're not, there's going to be a big problem, and I think he knows that. So, we'll just have to be patient and keep watching and seeing what happens here, and reserve, any further I shouldn't use that word, but we won't jump on Sessions too much more until we actually give this thing a chance to play itself out. But if he doesn't, produce at some point after we know there's been crimes committed, then I think we'll have every right to verbally assault him every way possible and call for him to go. But we'll just keep hanging out. But there's an old Sun Tzu. I'm a big fan of Sun Tzu. I got like 5 copies of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And one of my favorite, and there's a bunch of my favorites, but there's another one there that he talks about kind of playing possum. And it's in one of the things that's in Sun Tzu's Art of War. And he says, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable at night. And when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." So I think that that's hopefully what's going on with Jeff Sessions. And we also have to remember there was another thing too that was just a blip, but it's another thing that suggests that this is all true, and that's the interview, or actually it wasn't an interview, they were actually testifying in front of Congress. Dan Coates, the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, who replaced Clapper, he stated in the hearings when he was being questioned, he stated also that he had been working with Sessions to put together a joint task force to work with the Inspector General. So if you have these lawyers, these prosecutors, and investigators from the Department of Justice, and you have Dan Coates, the DNI, who's also got a task force, and they're all working with the Inspector General, it tells you that there's probably something really heavy coming down. So we just have to be patient, my friends. We'll have to try to be patient. And me probably as much as anyone. So we'll give Jeff Sessions the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully he's playing possum. We'll see. Devin Nunes is closing in on the political appointees in the Obama administration. He's been doing some interviews lately. He did that one with Cheryl Atkinson. He was on another Fox show tonight talking about this. And they're talking about this letter that we've already talked about, where he sent letters to, we believe it's somewhere around 24, more than 20, we understand, more than 20 current and former government officials asking about their knowledge of the Steele dossier. He's also stated that if these letters are not answered, he will subpoena these individuals to come in and stand for hearings. So the noose is tightening, and Nunes is really applying the pressure now. Now, we don't know all the people because the names are redacted, but there's some insiders who are talking about the fact that they have a pretty good idea who these people are. And some of these people, we believe, are Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Lynch, Rhodes, Rice, Power. A lot of people in the higher levels, and that I'm sure will include Sally Yates as well. A lot of people at the higher levels of the Obama administration, political appointees. That's where the focus is right now, and State Department people. So those are the people who got these letters, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle these letters and these questions and in the letter, because these are some very, very difficult questions to answer, because these people do not know what Nunes knows. We can assume that Priestap has cut a deal. We can assume that Peter's been stroking us, Lisa Page, Bruce and Nellie Orr, Priestap, all cooperating with the investigation, with the IG. So we do not know, nor do the people who are going to receive these letters, Clapper and Brennan and all these guys, they do not know what Nunes knows. They do not know what the IG knows. And you never want to answer questions like this when you don't know what the other side has got. It's always very risky. That's why a lawyer will say don't ever do it. But we will see how they handle this. And so now I'm going to go through these 10 questions that have been sent to all these former Obama administration officials. Some of them are even current officials serving in the FBI and DOJ. So let's go through these questions and see if you like these questions. If you would want to answer these questions not knowing what the other side knows. Question number 1. When and how did you first become aware of any of the information contained in the Steele dossier? When and how did you first become aware of any of the information contained in the Steele dossier? Question number 2. In what form or forms was the Steele dossier presented to you? By whom? Please describe each instance. In what form or forms was the Steele dossier presented to you? By whom? Question number 3. Who did you share this information with? When? To what form or in what form? Please describe each instance. Again, question number 3. Who did you share this information with? When and in what form? Question number 4. What official actions did you take as a result of receiving the information contained in the Steele dossier? What official actions did you take as a result of receiving the information contained in the Steele dossier? Number 5. Did you convene any meetings with the intelligence community and or law enforcement communities as a result of the information contained in the Steele dossier? That's a good one. Did you convene any meetings with the intelligence community or law enforcement communities as a result of the information contained in the Steele dossier? Ooh, that's a tricky one. Number 6. When did you first learn or come to believe that the Steele dossier was funded by a Democratic-aligned entity? When did you first learn or come to believe that the Steele dossier was funded by a Democrat-aligned entity? Number 7. When did you first learn or come to believe that the Steele dossier was funded by the Democrat National Committee and or Hillary Clinton campaign, Hillary for America? When did you first learn or come to believe that the Steele dossier was funded by the Democratic National Committee and or Hillary Clinton campaign, Hillary for America? Question number 8. When did you first learn that the Steele dossier was used to obtain a Fysop order on Carter Page? There you go. When did you first learn that the Steele dossier was used to obtain a Fysop order on Carter Page? There you go. That's a very incriminating question. Number 9. Was President Obama briefed on any information contained in the dossier prior to January the 5th, 2017? Was President Obama briefed on any information contained in the dossier prior to January 5th, 2017? And finally, question 10. Did you discuss the information contained in the Steele dossier with any reporters or other representatives of the media? If so, who? Did you discuss the information contained in the Steele dossier with any reporters or other representatives of the media? If so, who? Man, oh man. These are questions you do not want to have to answer. And the funny thing is, these are people that are now targeted inside. I told you we would get inside the Obama administration. And now we're there, including people in the State Department, the UN ambassador, and others. All the inner circle around Obama. It's everyone around him. Why do you do that? You do that to get to the top dog. And who are the top dogs? Obama and the rotten Reverend Clinton. Those are the two biggest fish in the pond. All these other people around them are going to be the ones who get pressed. And only when they have fully vetted all of these individuals, and they will, only then do you go to the two big fish in the pond. Because their answers better line up with all of these people, and all of these people, their answers better line up as well. Now you can bet that a lot of these people are under surveillance. So if they try to get together and have text or email or phone conversations about how they're going to strategize to beat this rap, it's all being listened to. You can bet that most of these people are under surveillance. You can bet that their emails, text messages, phone calls are being monitored to see what they do in response to the pressure that's being applied on them. And you better believe that Andrew McCabe is definitely under complete surveillance around the clock, as well as Ben Strokinus, Page, and Ors. They're at the FBI. I assure you that they probably don't have access to the systems anymore, and they're probably being watched very closely. They're probably even being physically followed as well, just so they don't have any of those little meetings in the parking garage at 3 o'clock in the morning in D.C., like Deep Throat did with Bob Woodward. So these are very good questions, and they're questions designed to, it's the boa constrictor method. You squeeze from the outside and to finally kill off everything but the main hosts, and then you cut off all the oxygen to them, and then they essentially suffocate. And he's, by doing this and the way he's doing it with Nunes, working with Goodlatte, working with Grassley, working with the Inspector General, now you have the DNI involved, and now we have all these prosecutors and attorneys and investigators from the DOJ working with the Inspector General. It looks like they're setting up the preliminary, taking the preliminary steps to impanel grand juries and appoint prosecutors for the indictments that are surely coming. And of course, like I say, a lot of these people are probably now under surveillance. They are now the ones under surveillance, and their activities are now being monitored because they expect that they are going to probably engage in cover-up activities. And so you want to observe that if that's happening. So things are definitely happening, I think, behind the scenes. You can kind of sense it in a way. I can kind of sense that there's something really big coming. I can't imagine that the Inspector General, because of what we know already, just from what we know already of McCabe and Peter Ben Strokinus and all the rest, and just the way this whole thing is playing out, it really has the look of something really big coming up. And we just have to keep watching this, because that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like they're trying to tone it down. It looks like they're trying to ratchet everything up. Certainly Nunes, Sessions gave us that impression by that sort of fiery interview he did. He was a little red in the face, and you could tell that he was frustrated and a little angry. Maria Bartiromo wasn't pressing him that hard. Pressing him a little bit, but not that hard. It's almost like he's ready a little bit to explode. It's like he's got something, that he wants to say, but he can't say it, and there's something coming, and he keeps saying it's coming. No one believes it's coming, but he keeps saying it's coming, and so I think it's just patience. Like Dave said, one of our regular subscribers to my channel, Dave's like, we got to be patient. Things are happening, and I do agree that that's probably what is going on, and we just have to try to hold our water and keep watching. I think we are, in fact, going to see something extraordinary in the weeks to come. ABC has received over 25,000 calls about Joy Behar's comments bashing Christians, and that's just the beginning. That is just the beginning. They don't care, though, really. They don't care. Now, if their advertisers start getting thousands and thousands of calls, then they'll care. Calling ABC, they don't care. But now if their advertisers start canceling, then they will care, because then the stockholders and what the whole thing's all about, money, and the people who see themselves losing money because of it may put some pressure on Joy Behar. I expect she's going to have to come out and make a real sincere apology. She may even get a little time off. I'm not really sure where that's going to go, but anyway, just so you know, people did see it. They are responding to it. I saw a clip, and I can't remember what video it was, but a clip last night with Obama where he was doing that thing where he said that it was impossible to rig American elections. It's impossible to rig American elections. The whole time that he's in the process of rigging an American election. That shows you how these people lie. I mean, the Clintons, Obama, Schumer, Pelosi, these people, they can lie. It's just amazing how they can lie. And they can look at you directly in the face and just completely lie to you. I mean, most of us can't do that. But these people can. I mean, they're professionals. That's how they got where they are. But Obama has said a lot of things that are going to come back to haunt him, because I'm telling you, you are inside the Obama administration now. That's why I said 3 months ago, I said it's just a matter of time before we get into, it's not just going to be these bureaucrats at the FBI and DOJ. This is going to go into inside the Obama administration, his political appointees, Comey and Lynch and Rhodes and Rice and Powers and all these people. It's going to go all the way to them and all the way to Obama himself and the Rotten Reverend. It's going to find its way to them, and we're there now. We are there now. And these people, I can assure you, are feeling the heat. That's why you don't hear from them. This just in, FBI crime statistics. Knives kill more people than AR-15s and rifles. All rifles, not just AR-15s. Here are the crime statistics from 2016. In 2016, 1,604 people were killed by knives. Now, as most of you know, I'm a knife collector. I have a large collection of all sorts of knives and swords and daggers and various other things. It's one of my hobbies. But I've never killed anybody with a knife, to be quite honest with you. So 1,604 knife murders compared to 374 killed by rifles. 1,604 knives, 374 killed by rifles. 472 were killed by blunt objects. 903 were killed by improvised weapons, and I assume that means well-sharpened number 2 pencils. People killed by hands, feet, and fist, 656. And of course, the largest number would be handguns, 7,105. So 1,604 by knife, 374 by rifle, 472 by blunt object, 903 by improvised weapons and number 2 pencils, hands, feet, and fist, 656, and handguns, 7,105. Go ahead and get rid of them bump stocks. Who needs them? They're a joke for most people. Who cares? And we do need better background checks, but we really have to address putting security in schools like we have here in my county, and you've got to address the meds issue. Got to start talking about the drugs these kids are on, and not just kids. Something else that was really funny happened. Yeah, here it is. Nancy Pelosi was giving a speech in opposition to the tax cuts in Phoenix, Arizona. And a woman yelled out to her during the speech, "Hey, Nancy, how much are you worth?" When she was talking about these tax cuts just being crumbs. And this woman yelled out, "How much are you worth?" And it was pretty embarrassing for her. It stopped her cold in her tracks and rattled her pretty bad. And the answer to her question, in case she doesn't really know, the Pelosi, Nancy and her husband, are worth about $140 million. They have at least one absolutely fantastically beautiful home right on the ocean in San Francisco. It is completely got walled off. It is gated off and walled off. There's actually several houses on the property. It's a massive property. You can look at it from Google Earth. There's been photos taken of it. But it's a massive gated property, just like the Clintons have walls around their house. The Obamas have walls constructed around their house. Most of these people have walls around their house. And they're also protected by armed security. Behind the scenes, we're learning that the congressional committees have been trying to track down Sergei Milian, the Belarusian-born individual who is the primary Russian source for the dossier, but no one can seem to catch up to him. He does have like an apartment or some digs in New York City, but he apparently hasn't been hanging out there very much. Maybe they should try Link University over there in Italy. Maybe George Papagalopoulos could tell them all about that little hangout he's got there in Italy. He was source D and E in the dossier, and the one who was really making the case that Putin had blackmail material on Trump. So congressional committees have been trying to track down Melion, and they're not having any luck finding him. They don't know where he is. Maybe he's hanging out with Christopher Steele, playing two-card stud.